Before we start this video, thank you to the members of both of the channels.
So you've lost your sparkle too, huh? Yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's going to be a very interesting one because I'm going to be showing you guys how to fix these motorized engines, specifically how to make them quieter, how to service them. If you're having issues, I will give you some pointers on how to make these guys run better, run smoother. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to be starting out with Percy. So this is going to apply to all of the engines with this specific chassis. So on the bottom here, we do have some triangle screws. Now you don't specifically need a triangle screwdriver to get these off because you can use a very tiny flathead. It's not 100% recommended because these are kind of cheap screws and you don't want to strip them because then you can't get them out. So be careful if you're going to be doing what I'm doing. But let's take off the shell and I will show you guys how to exactly service these engines. So the shell is off. Let's take the battery out for now. Okay, so now let's take out the triangle screws. I'm using a very small flathead. I did this last night, so I kind of left the screws a bit loose on purpose, but apply pressure, try not to strip the screws, go slow. So again, these engines do not run the best, like objectively. They are slower than the 80th anniversary engines. We are using one less battery as well. So if you're going to be buying these, especially keeping them, then you're going to want them running as best as possible. So get those screws out. Now, you may be wondering, so how do we get this chassis off? Well, you'll see there are 4 pins right here, 4 like clips that hold the chassis to the running board piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there's kind of a cheat way to get it off. This has worked multiple times. So what you're going to do is you're going to be very careful. Take the flathead and kind of pry the chassis off. There. And now you're going to go on this side, right in here. So right here, and then right here. There we go. As you can see, the magnet does come flying off. Try to be more careful than I was, but I've already done this before, so I know it's going to be fine. So basically, here's what we're working with. Yes, technically, you can take off the magnet for these engines and use a coupling hook if you wanted. So here's the problem with these engines. Here's the problem. Okay, so here is the motor. Here are the gears, all right? We've all seen these on Trackmaster engines. The problem is that these engines are very loud, and so the motor tends to sit incredibly low on these engines. So you hear a lot of almost grinding, just not very pleasant noises on these engines out of the box. They overall just don't sound the best. So to make them quieter, you will, here's someone in the Discord showed me this. So shout out to the Discord. We're already helping each other with these engines. Fantastic. So you take a little piece of paper and fold it. You put it underneath, and then you can put this over it. So basically, it just gives a little more room for the gears to not just be grinding on each other. So the engine overall will just be a bit quieter, and I'll show you. So that is something you can do. You can put a piece of paper or just something thin to give a little more space for the motor to sit so it's not absolutely grinding on the gears. So that's something you can do. Now, if you wanted to lube or grease the gears, now is the time to do it. But I already touched it and they are greased up. So you don't have to apply more, but just test it, right? Just touch the gears. If they are greased up enough to your liking, then just leave them alone. But you can always add more grease. Just make sure it's plastic safe. Add it to the gear and add it to right here. These 2 plastic gears that are going to be basically grinding up against each other when the engine is going. So that is basically one way of doing it. I guess you can add something other than paper underneath. But so that is what I did. And so the motor goes this way up. these bronze prong type things will sit up. So I'm going to make sure the paper's in correctly. Leave the motor right there. Now we're going to put the chassis back on. Now this one, kind of, you just have to snap back on. There we go. So I got it back on. It just snaps because you basically just have to get these 4 black pegs to go back in their proper spots. So I'm not lying, right? Here we go. Still works. It's a very crappy motor. They're crappy gears, so it's not going to be perfect. But overall, this is much more quieter. I don't know if that's even verbally, grammatically correct, but this is more quiet than it was before when I got Percy out of the box. You can listen to how, we've all seen the videos. These engines are pretty loud and cheap sounding, so listen to this. That is much better. So that is one way of doing it, guys. Now you're just going to put this shell back on. So moving on to Motorized James. Here's how we service James, everybody. This one, I think, is a bit easier than the tank engine, believe it or not. Can't believe we have to do this. So here's James after I put the paper in, but I'm going to show you how to do it. I also noticed my James button is like very finicky. I really have to press it down to get him to stop and start. Anyways, so you must be wondering, how do we get the motor exposed here? Well, here's one way to do it. You're going to take a screwdriver, flathead, right in here. See where it is? So the 2 screws you're going to be unscrewing are these 2 front ones, this one and this one, and then you can pry it off. Yeah, it is pretty sad that we have to do this to the engines because Mattel can't be bothered. There we go. You can already see it's coming off. There we go. So that is how you get it off. Again, make sure the tender is hooked up when you put it back, but you kind of just pry it open in those 2 spots I showed you. So again, here is the motor. There are the gears. I put a piece of paper in there. I folded up like twice. Put the motor back. Here's where you would grease it or lube it if you need it. So that's one way. And again, don't be worried about breaking something. These engines, it's plastic, but it's like toy plastic. You're not going to break it. So it just snaps right back into place. Right? It's not a model train. This is literally a motorized Thomas item. It's not some model, right? You're not going to break it. And don't do what I did and forgot to plug in the tender. So it will snap together just like that. So again, we did not forget to have the tender actually put back on. So now you're just going to screw James back together. Again, the James is much quieter. So, you don't worry about breaking it. You're not going to break it. It's not some model, right? It's literally just, it's a 2026 Mattel battery power. You could not get any worse value than this. There. So, there's James. There's his cheap coal load. There's Percy. That is how you service both of these engines, both types of chassis. Tank engine chassis. Again, the shells are really hollow, so you just hear the rattling gears even with the piece of paper. But even if you don't want to put the paper there, I did show you how to get to the gears to put more grease on them. But that is how you service those engines. Let me know down below if this was helpful. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.